If you watch one thing today, folks, make sure it's this.
What are Republicans like Rick Scott, J.D. Vance, and Mike Johnson doing in a New York City courtroom? Wasting time, wasting taxpayer money.
Just the unbelievable, just complete waste.
More of that to come, but Dick Medicare fraud Scott here brings up a great point. We've been talking about how Congress's do-nothing Republicans are not only
just the unbelievable, just complete waste.
Well said, Dick, but they're also an absolute shame to themselves and America as a whole.
Shame, shame, shame!
And we've been talking about it for a while now, but frankly, nobody makes that point better than Republicans themselves.
Republican voters across the country are sick and tired of Republicans because they never do anything to hold this government accountable. Republicans go out on the campaign trail and go on TV and do their 5-minute hearing videos and post up on social media and say all this garbage about how they're going to fight it and stop it. I feel like many of the American people that think that Republicans in Congress completely fail them. I feel the same way, and I'm a Republican member of Congress.
Whether it's them not passing any legislation and being the least productive Congress since the Civil War.
One thing. I want my Republican colleagues to give me one thing, one, that I can go campaign on and say we did.
Or them taking time off from governing despite that fact to go shill for their diaper-wearing wannabe dictator.
Joe Biden's the worst president in American history, and with God's grace, we're going to make America great again.
You're shilling for a rape.
We've seen how disgusting and hypocritical it is for these far-right, hyper-Christian, lying losers to shirk their duties to go support a lying adulterer, abuser, and criminal while attacking the fair proceedings of his trial in the name of so-called law and order and family values. You would think that in and of itself would be enough for people to say, you know, maybe these asshats don't represent me or my values. You would think MAGA morons would brush the dust off their old thinking caps and use a fraction of their fractional brain power.
You know how they say we only use 10% of our brains?
But apparently it is not, and they have not. Which is why the rest of this ad that, while brutal and brilliant and clearly directed at them, probably won't change any of their pea-brained minds.
Are they in Washington, D.C., working to make the economy stronger, or America safer, or your life better?
No, no, no.
No. They talk about inflation and gas prices, but they're too busy cheerleading their leader to do anything about it.
Everybody loves me.
They should be in Washington, making the tough votes to strengthen the border.
This makes zero sense.
Right, they love to complain about the border, but equally love to do absolutely nothing about it. First, by blocking an incredibly conservative border bill that they demanded and crafted.
My team began serious negotiation with a bipartisan group of senators. The result was a bipartisan bill with the toughest set of border security reforms we've ever seen. Oh, you don't think so? Oh, you don't like that bill? That conservatives got together and said it was a good bill? I'll be darned. That's amazing. That bipartisan bill would hire 1,500 more security agents and officers, 100 more immigration judges to help tackle the backload of 2 million cases, 4,300 more asylum officers, and new policies so they can resolve cases in 6 months instead of 6 years now.
And now this week, despite Chuck Schumer pushing for a second attempt to pass the same bipartisan bill that they tried to in February that was supported by border agents themselves, that bill is all but assured to fail again when it's voted on tomorrow. This all in the service of dictator Von Don.
Instead, they're kissing Trump's ring in Manhattan.
It was not a good look for Congress.
They're not loyal to you. They're loyal to him.
It can only be my personality, that's all.
It's why more Americans are asking than ever before. Is this what we're paying them for?
Not in Washington doing their jobs. They're at the courthouse.
The American people are over it.
And we should be over it, folks, but so many ignorant people in their right-wing media bubble just aren't, which should be frightening, because they are actively voting for and giving power to the same people who seek to destroy their very means of existence. Republicans have openly admitted that they want to steal your Social Security and Medicare, and these MAGA morons will vote for them because they're being brainwashed into thinking those programs are government handouts or some other socialist buzzword. So they will actively vote to give themselves the privilege, in their eyes, of working until they drop dead.
Treasury bonds, they have no value to the federal government. It is a legal Ponzi scheme. I'm happy to defend that comment all day long.
What you would do is for those in their 20s coming into the system, we would change the retirement age so that it matches life expectancy.
Does it really make sense to allow someone who's in their 20s today to retire at 62?
Raising the retirement age for people who are in their 20s when it comes to receiving Social Security benefits. Do you agree with her on that?
I think that's something that has to be on the table. We have to look at.
Talking about making changes for people in their 30s or 40s so that the program's viable, that's a much different thing, and that's something that I think that there's going to need to be discussions on.
Like, how sinister do you have to be to set aside any real legislative agenda that could even remotely improve the lives of your constituents, and then choose to go after the most vulnerable and deprive them of their social safety net? It's diabolical. I mean, I guess MAGA Republicans are masochists because they still drink it up.
I drink your water. I drink it up every day.
These Republicans don't care about their constituents. They care about power. They care about protecting Donald Trump, who they see as their conduit to power, that they can use to further enact their radical and dystopian agenda. And pay close attention here, because all of their dystopian plans include everything that they are accusing the other side of doing.
Lawfare. Trump plans to prosecute his predecessor, Joe Biden, for all of the many crimes that Trump says Biden has committed, but refuses to actually name. Saturday night massacres? Well, Trump says sure. He told Time magazine he would fire U.S. attorneys who don't follow his orders to prosecute his opponents. Spark a trade war that could take money from middle-class wallets? That's under advisement, too. $1 billion quid pro quo offered up to oil executives? That's now under investigation by House Democrats. A plan for sweeping immigration raids, deportations, internment camps. Those are also being drawn up. Monitoring and prosecuting women who have abortions. It's up to the states, Trump says. Contraceptive bans? Trump now says never. But that's just hours after saying, we'll see.
Do you support any restrictions on a person's right to contraception?
Well, we're looking at that, and I'm going to have a policy on that very shortly. Things really do have a lot to do with the states.
Withhold funds from Congress? Trump says he can do that. Deploy the National Guard to cities on a whim. Trump believes he has the power to do that too. But the same election deniers who tried to discard the Constitution in charge of upholding the Constitution, that is also part of Trump's plan. The civil service, you can expect that to be gutted. Social media posts borrowing language from Nazi Germany? Well, it happened during Trump's first term, and it's happening again now. Add it all up, and Trump has given the American people a pretty clear picture of how he plans to govern.
And that clear picture of how he wants to govern, how he wants to strip your rights while padding his pockets with the money of hardworking yet insanely gullible Americans, that will ultimately go to his own legal fees for his literal crimes, is a path that is being paved by complicit Republicans who don't give a damn about anyone other than themselves and maybe their donors. Which is why not only do we have the right, but arguably a moral duty to vote them out this November.